And welcome back to the Digital Education Station, everybody. I am Ryan Ferran, Chief Communications Officer for Arcadia Unified School District. And you know this man very well, Dr. Vannasdall, Superintendent
Great to
of
be
the
here,
school
Ryan.
district. This is our 5th video talking just about personalized learning. So we're cranking out a lot of these videos. And
5 of 100, right?
Yeah. Is that what it's going to be?
Yeah.
We're going to be busy. But it's been great just getting out the word, getting a lot of views on Facebook. We're putting them on YouTube. And we also have a page on our website, AUSD.net. You look on the left-hand side, you'll see personalized learning. So we're posting all those videos there. We have infographics, other resources and links. So for anyone who wants any information about it, put it all in one place to make it easy. These videos included. So we're doing a lot of this Digital Education Station videos, but you've been out talking to a lot of school sites, board meetings, community nights as well. Where have you been and what's the response been?
Almost everywhere. A lot of PTA meetings. Been invited by some of the PTA presidents of our schools to speak. Been a warm response. I think I mentioned in an earlier video where when I talk about these opportunities that our students and staff have today with the technology and the possibilities for personalized learning, usually the response is, let's go. Let's like right now. Let's do it. I have to remind everyone it's a slow implementation. We have to get it right, and it is a big change. It's a small change for some people in the district, but it's a big change for others. So it's really important that we build a community around this. We moved together, and one of the reasons that I like doing these videos is it's just a lot of fun to share our journey actually with people, because there's a lot of work going into this. 360 of the organization, and it's just that, it's a journey. We're never going to get to a day and time and say, all right, we've achieved personalized learning. Right. It's really about a way of thinking and changing our teacher-centric kind of classrooms where it was about teachers creating work to more about what does a student need. Now, teachers are still doing that work and creating that, but it's truly about each individual student in that classroom. The 100-year-old model was about an average, meaning everything was built on this idea that there's an average grade level student, right? A 7th grader should know this, or there's an average brain. What we know now from brain research is that there is no such thing as average. In fact, the studies that they did back then on the average brain, not one brain out of the 1,000 actually matched the average brain. So that meant we really weren't meeting the needs of any one person over the years. So this is really about thinking from each individual student standpoint, and then delivering curriculum and lessons to meet their needs. So it's exciting.
Our last video, we talked about the pilot that'll be at the Arcadia Education Center, the AEC. We talked about what that's going to look like, who's going to be participating. Right. The one before that, we talked about kind of the 3 and 4 year timeline of the rollout of personalized learning with the platform throughout. So then today we're going to talk specifically about the role of the teacher, what that means, and you talked at the end of the last video, so we were looking forward to this one. There's some misconceptions about what the teacher does, how they interact with the platform, the students, etc. So we just want to explain that a little bit clearer today. So what is the role of the teacher with personalized learning and how we're going to see it here in Arcadia Unified?
Excellent. Well, I want to start with this. I think it's the most important value, is that in Arcadia we believe that if we do this right, if we work with technology correctly, technology will operate in the background. Our goal is to maximize meaningful time between teachers and students. That's where the magic takes place. When I go back and look at my childhood and my education experiences, and every time you're in a room and you ask people, who was that teacher that really changed your life? It's about an interaction or a relationship, a connection, where a teacher motivated, inspired you. A computer is never going to be able to do that. Right. So I want to be clear that our goal is to maximize that time. So we need to use technology to minimize the disruptions that teachers get all the time with managing a classroom, from putting out work, collecting work, assessing work. All that has to be done, but let a computer do the stuff that it can do well, and let's maximize that time between teachers and students. And that's a core belief we have in Arcadia. I'm sad to say that not everyone is going down that road, and that scares me. It's one of the reasons I'm out advocating for what we're doing and trying to convince people that I don't necessarily want to live in a world where the belief is that computers are going to do all the teaching for our students, so that we just sit kids in front of a computer, put headphones on. It could be personalized. So when you hear that, it's true. A computer can adapt and can deliver modules of instruction, but it can't possibly do all of the things that a teacher does on a given day, of being able to understand, what's going on in a student's life that day that causes them to not be as productive today as they were yesterday, or when they get frustrated, and having those words of wisdom to motivate and inspire. That direct instruction sometimes, where a student just needs to hear from someone and take the work and relate it to their life and make meaning out of it, not just learning concepts and facts, but make meaning out of it. So we're going in that direction of maximizing that time between a teacher and a student, and I'm going to continue to advocate that that's the direction that we need to be going in public schools. So that for us is the starting point. It's great to share that when I move around the district and go in and out of classrooms, for a majority of our teachers, their classroom is not going to look very different at all once they're on our personalized platform, or with our partner with Alt School. Because the platform is not the curriculum, it's not the content, it's just where they house it, where they push out lessons to kids, where they receive it, assess it. It's got a portal so parents can have a kind of a daily snapshot, a narrative of how the students are doing. But as far as what a classroom looks like, I was just at Foothills on a learning walk a couple weeks ago, and I walked in the classroom, and I think there was 5 different kind of activities going on in the room. In fact, one of them was a group of kids that were working on a project, and I kept hearing a student talking that wasn't sitting there. When I walked around, there was a Chromebook, and it was a student that was homesick that day, and they didn't want to miss out on working on the project, so their friends just dialed them up on Google Hangout, and the student was participating in the project. And to the students, that was just normal. To adults, we were just like, "Are you kidding me? That's amazing." That was just one little group going on in this classroom. There was a group of students making videos. They had a green screen going on, and they were doing all kinds of things. So that's what a true personalized learning classroom looks like, where you just have many activities going on, but it's well orchestrated, managed, it's organized. It may not always look like it, but you have a lot of different things going on in that classroom, and all of it has been designed by the teacher to meet individual student needs. And that doesn't mean there's 30 different things going on if there's 30 students, right? But sometimes there's students that have that self-efficacy and the agency to really dive into a project solo and just go, they're passionate about something, they can do that. There's also times where students just really need that collaboration with peers, that they have some strengths and assets, but they need some help from some peers to really, complete a project. So in that case, a teacher would have the data on that and be able to group students together. Sometimes a teacher's going to be over giving direct instruction, good old traditional, just standing there delivering some instruction that a student really needs. So it's going to be varied, and you're going to see a lot of different furniture. The environment of the classroom is going to match the different activities that are going on. Very different than a traditional classroom with just rows. So in that aspect, like I said, for a lot of our teachers, they've already been doing this, and they've already been exploring that. In fact, a lot of our teachers have been trained with universal design for learning, and it's just that kind of mind thought that when you walk into a classroom, you begin by designing lessons based on where the students are and individual students' abilities, instead of I design a lesson and then just hand it out to 30 students. So it's really just making that paradigm shift to starting with the students and then how do I meet their needs. And that's very different than the old days where you start on chapter 1 in a book and you now turn the page and we go to the next. Again, that was designed assuming that that's where all the students were at that exact ability on that day at that minute. We know that's just not true anymore. That's not how students learn. So that's kind of what it's going to look like.
It's interesting too, because one of the questions we got a lot at the community engagement night at our board meeting was, are classroom sizes going to be smaller? And the answer is no, but with the platform's ability to put this group a little bit faster and this group a little bit slower, it's going to seem like a smaller class, because now as a teacher, I can go work with those 10 students who need a little extra help. These 10 can go to the next level. So I guess talk about that component. The platform will give the teacher the ability to make that class seem a lot smaller.
Yeah, that's a great point. And here's the difference. In traditional classrooms, there's always been this concept of grouping, right? You had some students that were a little slower on a subject, students that were quicker. But it was always, once it was established, it was hard for a student to break out of that group. So if you were in the slow reading group, you were getting that intervention, and now you're in that for the year or for a semester. The beautiful thing about having data that's being provided to a teacher, because I keep using the term, it's a superhero belt for teachers, right? It's not about the technology making the decisions, it's recommending and giving good assessment data to teachers to make those decisions. That can be done on a daily basis, because again, back to that, there is no such thing as an average brain.
Right.
For one student, they may be struggling on fractions today, but tomorrow's, whatever tomorrow's lesson is, they get that. So it's more fluid that the teacher can decide on small groups within the classroom on a daily basis, which is very exciting because it's truly being customized and tailored to every child for every lesson.
So the teachers, they're obviously still putting out their lesson plan, their curriculum, but they'll be doing it through the platform now, and then the grading and assessments. How does that also work within the role of the teacher?
Yeah. Well, I also want to emphasize the fact that the way I've been explaining to teachers is that you can take exactly what you're doing today and just do it on the platform. There's no mystery about the platform. It's just where you organize your work, push it out, right? But it has the ability for you to do things far greater than you've ever done now. So that's where the technology comes in, is that as far as what's possible, it's endless. So an example is that right now for teachers to collaborate, they have to meet, right? They have to take time, whether it's after school, a minimum day, and say, and the starting point of the conversation is, what are you doing with the students? And then we talk, and maybe there's a place that we can, cross over and make our concepts relevant to each other. On the platform, if you're a teacher, every teacher that shares that student, so if there's three, math, science, English teacher, and we all share one student, we each get to see on the platform what that student is doing in each of the classes. And we get to see it in reference to the standards, because there's all the standards that the state puts out that a child has to get through for each grade level. So it's very important for mastery that our students master these standards, that we're aware of when they're mastering them. But if I can see that they're mastering these 10 standards in your class, I don't have to spend the time to also work on that. So how can I enhance what they're learning in your class, but also continue to move them forward, so we're not just spending the same amount of time overlapping the same standards. So it's, again, we're getting very personalized and customized to those students, ensuring that they're moving forward. So it's minimizing sometimes what would have been a waste of time, because there was that inability to communicate what you're doing.
So our pilot program here at the AEC will start in January, and then so teachers who may be using it, a few of them next August and the following year or two, they'll be able to come over, work with our coaches and this pilot, see the program, so they'll have ample time to see how it works, ask questions, and get training within the platform and PL and all of the above.
Yeah. Not just teachers having the opportunity to come over and observe and watch what this looks like, but we're going to learn a lot from our parents as well, because I haven't mentioned yet, but one of the components to the platform is this parent portal piece. Again, it's controlled by the teacher, so the teacher has the opportunity as students capture their work, basically taking a picture of it. We use the platform uses the term capture, because as they're working on something, say there's 4 steps to a project, students will capture the work, and it's automatically assigned in the computer to that work, that card, that assignment. There's a QR code that's generated by the platform. So the student pulls that up, hits the QR code, takes the picture. That gets housed in the computer for the teacher to have that ongoing record of the work the student's doing. but they also can easily hit a button that makes that accessible by the parent. So the parents can begin then to see the work on a daily basis and kind of the narrative of a student's work, which is far greater than quarterly grades of A, B, C, D. It's like, what exactly does that mean? I mean, as a parent now, I get to see the work that my child did that day with their reflection. I mean, age appropriate. My kids are in TK right now, but as they get older, I'll be able to see their reflection on the work, their goals based on the work. How do they want to improve on the next assignment? I get to see the teacher's comments on that work. So, making that accessible to parents, we're hoping that as we work with this first group of parents, they're going to help us also design what that looks like. Because a reminder that this product, the platform, so to speak, is evolving. It's growing as we need things. The engineers will be working on it. So what it looks like today is going to be very different than it might look in 3 years. It's going to be a lot better. So
very interesting. Dr. Vannasdall, thanks so much for the time and helping us explain and understand the role of the teacher with personalized learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.